Cool. So our next speaker is Maureen Bucher. Maureen is a service designer at Humankind. She grew up in France and Washington, D.C., and now lives in Wellington. Maureen is passionate about sustainability, inclusion, and diversity. In 2019, she put her passion into action by co-founding the startup Reusable, a zero-waste takeaway option. Before she joined Humankind, Maureen was the design operations manager at ANZ, where she was part of a design ops team of 4, supporting over 170 designers globally and 40 across New Zealand. Fun fact, when Maureen was a journalist living in Paris, she interviewed Keith Richards' daughters, Alexandra and Theodora. Awesome. Please welcome Maureen to the stage.
Hi, kia ora everyone. Can you see me and hear me? Oh, okay. I guess you can hear me and see me. Thank you. So today my first public speaking experience at a conference. So I'm a little bit nervous, but I think everything will be all good. Thank you for all your love. I'm really humbled by the amazing talks that happened before me, and it's always incredible and inspiring to hear what people do in the industry. And also a big shout out to the Optimal Workshop Fano, just connecting us today and making it so smooth. So big shout out to them. So I'll share my little screen. Okay, cool. Cool. So I'm the first child of 4. And I always cared about making life easier for myself and people around me. I'm originally French, but my family is actually a mix of French, German, Algerian, and Spanish. And here I decided to talk all my favorite food because in my family, we always get together around food to talk about serious issues. So in my job, I'm a service designer at Humankind in Wellington, and with a mission to lead humanity at work. And outside of work, you'll find me at Carla Marie Ceramic Studio in Wellington, just creating cups, vases, and just playing around with clay, really. So today I'm going to talk to you about design ops and the trial and error mindset. I'm conscious that some of you might have never worked with a design ops or even heard that term. Maybe you have, but I just pulled out this little definition of the Nielsen-Norman Group, which defines design ops as an orchestration and optimization of people, processes, and craft in order to amplify design's value and impact at scale. You'll find a lot of other definitions online because often design ops adapts to their organization, but I'll go back to that a little bit later. So I've had a few different roles in design, and this is not all the list. But a big part of my career was really to focus on the user experience and the customer experience. So using my designs and my design skills to really focus on that. When I shifted to design ops, as well as my role today, it really shifted to not the customer experience, but the employee experience. So really making sure that designers at ANZ would be looked after and have the tools to do their job. So I've realized as well across all those roles, but talking to the community, that a lot of people were having similar challenges than I was finding. And so there was lack of processes, which kind of encourage inconsistencies as in the design, but also in the organization, and also no clear pathway for growth for designers. This is my dad trying to go down with me down the mountain. I showed it to him. He's like, "Who's that crazy person?" I'm like, "It's you." So you don't know what you're going to do with your first kid. So I'm really interested to hear about your challenges as well. So if you can pop through in the chat, what is your #1 challenge at work right now? I'd love to kind of have a look and see if it was similar challenges than I found at the time. So growing, getting access to real user, work-life balance, too much work, tools, time prioritization. So a lot of them are actually lots of meetings, growing, scaling. Yeah. Bad leaders, oh no. Staying motivated while working from home, yeah, motivation as well. So all of those, like, I mean, a lot of those are actually what design ops can focus on. It's such a broad and has a lot of focus areas. So depending on your organization, you'll be able to focus on that. So even senior stakeholders, some of the things that we helped our designers with were drawing maps of stakeholder maps to be able to see who they were informing and who they had to keep close to them so that they could influence. So I often hear this question, do we need design ops? And the goal of design ops is really about making sure that you remove all operational headaches so that designers can focus on designing and researching. And a lot of organizations that have hired design ops have noticed that their design team are quicker and produce more and are more efficient, but not just design team, just the organization in general as well. Sorry for that. Oh, yeah. So to my knowledge, in New Zealand, the only people that actually hire design ops as a role are ANZ and Xero. And so it's quite small here, but it's growing really quickly in America, and it has a huge community that is so helpful. And so if we go back a little bit, in 2019, David Malouf was actually the first one to talk about design ops and divided it into 3 different areas. You'll see that today, design ops work in more adaptable models, depending on their organization. So if we look at Airbnb, for example, they have design ops that has design ops as a practice, has 6 different teams. And you might recognize that some of them might be common in a few different organizations. The localization one is really particular to Airbnb. It's about focusing on the content of their products so that when users are going on their products, they really have that local experience that you can expect. And Salesforce has an umbrella of design ops combining team ops and product ops, really giving them the tools to really giving them the tools to solve challenges on a practice, but also on an organization level. So when I was at ANZ working in the design ops team, we also had our own focus areas. And we came up with those using human-centered design. So talking to our community, making sure we're solving the right problems. And so just to give you a bit of a gauge of how big ANZ is. So we were 4 in the design ops team across the community. There was 170 plus designers. I'm sure this number has grown really quickly since I'm gone. There was 40 plus designers in Aotearoa and 9,000 staff in New Zealand, with multiple departments. One thing that we saw in the design ops team that we're having in common across all the different countries was that we were hiring really quickly. And so our team and community was growing really, really quickly. We wanted to make sure that we were focusing on onboarding because we wanted to give the best tools and experience to people when starting at the bank. And so we started with discovery, talking to all the existing designers in New Zealand, as well as the new hires, and really try to understand what were their pain points, what was good and we should continue. And we kind of defined our project to be a small scale one. And there's something that we were hearing a lot, which was that our onboarding guidelines were created in Australia, and in New Zealand, there was a lot of information that was either not relevant or missing information for New Zealand that was relevant. So we decided to prototype that and design our new guidance for New Zealand specifically, but kept that overall look and feel for all of us, for the group of the ANZs. And so it was a great opportunity because it was just before we were hiring a lot of people. And we were hiring like incredible talent coming from, like really cool companies. And so we're like, yes, it's such a good opportunity. We're going to hear such good feedback. Amazing. And so we had put also some measurements. So we had a little survey where people could grade their experience and then give feedback. And super excited to hear the feedback. And when we talked to them, this was their reaction. So they were not happy. So we realized, we're like, it's not really about the artifacts or the guidance. It's really about the experience. Like, we kind of got it wrong here. But it was such an amazing learning experience, because we were like, okay, now we can tackle something bigger. And so going back to all of our data, as well as the data that we got from our new hires, we put this journey map together and really try to highlight where were the areas that we needed to focus on. And so the start date and first week were pretty obvious to us to start there. We also reframed our scope and just try to understand what were we offering with this project and who were going to be our key partners and activities. And so after multiple iteration, co-designs with our new hires, this was how the service blueprint was looking like before I moved on. And so we could see, like, the start date and first week emotions were like way better, which kind of rippled onto the first month and first quarter. And, you know, we weren't waiting for people to give us feedback. They were coming to us and they were like, hey, thank you so much, like, for looking after me. I feel so welcome. And Alicia, who's I know is in the audience, even her dog loved the onboarding guide. What? And so we were pretty happy with that. But one thing I want to stress is that we didn't look at the new hire experience only. We really wanted to bring that good experience for the team. How could they support our new hires, but also our managers, because they were very busy, what processes and things we could put in place so that we could support them to support our new hires. And so this is one example of many that design ops can solve. And here we really approach it with a human-centered design approach to really bring that innovation to operation, which can be sometimes a bit dry. So if we go back to your number one challenge at work, and ask the question again, maybe we can reframe it. Do we need help? If the answer is yes, then you can see there is great value in having a design ops as part of your organization. One thing that I saw when I was at ANZ and I started sharing that onboarding experience, or it was kind of talked about within the company, multiple departments starting reaching out. So the marketing department in Australia, the people experience, the global people experience department, as well as technology in New Zealand, looking at their pain points. What could they do to uplift their onboarding experience? And what could we reuse from design to scale it wider? One thing as well that I'm seeing in my job at Humankind is the emergence of employee experience designers, which use ECD, which is kind of an employee-centered design approach, to really solve and solely focus on the employee experience at work. So little did I know that making life easier for people around me would actually become my career. And I really want to share that design ops is not about perfection. It's about learning, trying, optimizing, and then share that with people around you. I really want you and encourage you to have that trial and error mindset. And so I've created on this little link a little pottery class to make your own cup at home. This is, of course, my first one. So embracing that trial and error mindset for that video too. And, you know, when you roll the clay, there's hundreds of air bubbles and it's really annoying. Or when you're trying to put your little handle on your cup and it breaks, don't despair. It's really about the process. Think about what you can learn here. Think about what you could do better next time. So thank you so much for listening, and reach out if you want to talk about human-centered design for everything. And also pottery, I'd love to chat. See you.